personally want to hear from the former president?
I wanted to hear from the former president, but honestly, I kind of wanted to subpoena the former president because I got to swear everybody in. And so I thought it'd be really cool to get 60 seconds with President Trump of me looking at him and being like, do you solemnly swear? And me getting to swear him in. I kind of just thought that would be an awesome moment.
You know, I've been full steam ahead on this concept of a national divorce. And I don't say that lightly because although I want it to be peaceful, you don't know what that really means and what the ramifications of it are. And I think we need to take a step back. Let's look at Georgia, and you'll see why I'm like, let's slow our roll. I still believe in it, but let's be strategic about where we are. Going to Georgia, they had a special grand jury that investigated whether Donald Trump and his allies committed any crimes while trying to look into things in the last process. And that was all kind of tied back to this call that he had with Raffensperger of Georgia, a Republican. And there was nothing on the call. I listened to the call. I did a video on the call way back when that happened. That's a long time ago now, it feels like. I did a video on that, believe it or not. There's nothing crazy about the call. There's nothing wrong about the call, but we saw who the head of the jury was, and she's on TV talking and bumping her lips, and she look out here looking crazy.
Personally want to hear from the former president?
I wanted to hear from the former president, but honestly, I kind of wanted to subpoena the former president because I got to swear everybody in. And so I thought it'd be really cool to get 60 seconds with President Trump of me looking at him and being like, do you solemnly swear? And me getting to swear him in. I kind of just thought that would be an awesome moment.
That's the grand jury foreperson for the jury that could be indicting a former president, something that would turn our country upside down. It really could decide the fate of the free world in a way. How you like them apples? She looks like I was listening to Charlie Kirk, and I agree with him completely. He said she looked like a Harry Potter type of fan, type of person. Well, he actually looked into her. She literally is, believes she's a witch. A Harry Potter type, witch type person. That's who we have as the foreperson that could indict a former president, tipping the scales in an election and just throwing the country potentially over the figurative cliff. That's how big it is. Even CNN couldn't hide how ridiculous she sounds.
Clearly enjoying herself.
Yeah.
But I mean, is this responsible? She was the foreperson of this grand jury.
This is a horrible idea, and I guarantee you that prosecutors are wincing watching her go on this.
I was wincing just watching her eagerness to hint at stuff.
It's painful in that respect. This is a very serious prospect here. We're talking about indicting any person. You're talking about potentially taking away that person's liberty. We're talking about potentially a former president for the first time in this nation's history. She does not seem to be taking that very seriously.
There's no reason for her to be out talking.
No,
I mean,
it's a prosecutor's nightmare. Mark my words, Donald Trump's team is going to make a motion if there's an indictment to dismiss that indictment based on grand jury impropriety. She's not supposed to be talking about anything, really, but she's really not supposed to be talking about the deliberations. She's talking about what specific witnesses they saw, what the grand jury thought of them. She says some of them we found credible, some of them we found funny. I don't know why that's relevant, but she's been saying we found this guy funny or interesting. I think she's potentially crossing a line here. It's going to be a real problem for prosecutors.
This is the channel, this is CNN. I mean, this is the media that they are giddy inside. She's just expressing the emotions, overtly that they all have in hoping what happens with Trump. And now they even think she's over the line.
When it comes to, there are indictments recommended, of course. Is it more than 12 people? Is it more than 20 people?
Look at this goofy ass woman.
I think if you look at the page numbers of the report, there's about 6 pages in the middle that got cut out. Allow for spacing. It's not a short list.
Not a short list. I mean, when it comes to 75 witnesses, when it comes to
cut out. Allow for spacing. It's not a short list.
Not a short list. More, I mean, when it comes to 75 witnesses, like, it's not, I assume, of course, it's not 75 people. Would you characterize it as 20-ish people?
I can't say I counted.
Okay. More than a dozen, though, I think I heard you say in another interview.
I believe so. That's probably a good
Is she on meth?
The name that everyone wants to know about is former President Trump.
Of course.
Did you recommend charges against Donald Trump?
I really don't want to share something that the judge made a conscious decision not to share. I will tell you that it was a process where we heard his name a lot. We definitely heard a lot about former President Trump, and we definitely discussed him a lot in the room. And I will say that when this list comes out, there are no major plot twists waiting for you.
Is it me, or did she seem like she was aroused in some way? I don't know if it was intellectually or something else. It just, she looked like she was giddy about this whole situation. But when you have, these are common citizens. When you, I'm not saying anything wrong or alleging anything bad happened here that shouldn't have happened. You pick a jury, you pick common citizens, your peers that could be anybody. But that is why you end up with a president who is leading us into World War III, yet can't walk up a flight of stairs. It is. You wonder why our country is in the place that we are, is that is a common citizen. Here's my takeaway. Let's slow the roll on national divorce. And let's just pump the brakes. Let's slow down. Like, actually quickly. Let's do it real quick. I'm looking at Marjorie Taylor Greene. She brought it up. I agree with her. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for the national divorce, MTG. But let's strategize a little bit. Let's take a look at what's happening here. This is happening in her state. So in your state, you're a representative in the state of Georgia. You've got 2 wackadoo Democrat senators. The Republicans of your state, most of them hate MAGA more than the Dems do. Remember, this call is with the Republican Secretary of State, and we know Kemp is anti-MAGA. And now that same state is trying to prosecute a former president on nonsensical charges with a wannabe Harry Potter witch as the head of the jury. First, let's get your state right. If there is going to be a national divorce, it's great to talk about it, but you got to talk about it to get momentum, to solidify your state to a position that's friendly to you. There's no point in trying to get to a divorce when you don't have a home. Georgia is a joke of a state, purple at best right now. How many red states are really out there? You got Florida, and when I mean red and MAGA friendly. Maybe Iowa. You got a couple. All these states that you might label as red, they're not really red. And then you look at what happened in Arizona. I think Arizona was going to be turning into, or it might naturally be, another Florida, but you saw the fortification against Kari Lake. So let's pump the brakes, get the states right, because you decentralize the federal government, that's not fixing your state. You still got the same people in your state. You can't magically change the state laws, even with no federal government. Marjorie Taylor Greene proposed, hey, if you move out of state, you move from somewhere to Florida, for example, you don't get to vote for 5 years or something like that. That's something you could do if we decentralize power from the federal government, however that looks. It doesn't matter. You still have the same people in Georgia. You still have the same divide. You're going to have the same type of blue-red divide, fake red or whatever you want to call them, non-MAGA red, and then bootlicking blue, and you've got Warnock, and you've got a witch on the jury to maybe go against you, MTG, next time. Let's rethink this. We got the right ideas. Let's get the strategy pumping. Let me know what you think.